Welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show. You can be intentional about your character. You can have money and a career. You are the hero in your story. Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studios, it's the Dave Ramsey Show, where debt is dumb, cash is king, and the paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey personality and best-selling author of the book Redefining Anxiety, is my co-host today here on the air. We have been teaching you for approaching 30 years to live like no one else, so that later you can live and give like no one else. There's only three things you can do with money. You can spend it on yourself and enjoy it, and you should. You can invest it, and you should. And you can be outrageously generous, and when you do that, you'll find it is the highest and best use of money. It is the use of money that will give you the most joy. On the eve of Christmas Eve, it is a Dave Ramsey Show tradition to take calls from those of you who have enjoyed generosity. You have a great generosity story. God was so generous that he sent his only son to pay our debts, our sin. And that's what we're celebrating here. It's called Christmas. Merry Christmas. And so we want to hear your generosity stories. Call us right now at 888-825-5225. If you've been on the receiving end of generosity or on the giving end of generosity, and it's a great story, and it will inspire the rest of us to be more generous, that's what we want to hear for the next several hours. Open phones again, 888-825-5225. And from a mental health perspective, when people give, it takes their eyes off themselves, and a whole lot of neurosis really comes down to being selfish.
They evaporate. When you find it within yourself to do something for other people, when you get outside of your own head and your own heart, you will find that the things that ail you just simply poof like a vapor.
Yeah.
And there's something magical and life-giving about being and living for other people.
Very difficult to be depressed when you're outrageously generous.
Almost impossible.
When you're it activates a whole different counter set of chemicals in the body, in the spirit, and in the emotions.
Right.
It really does.
You go looking for ways that you can support and help other people, which gives you purpose.
So in case you hadn't noticed, 2020 pretty much sucked.
That's the rumor.
So what we're going to do is we're going to give our way out of it so that we all have a little bit of a better attitude.
Hey, I like that plan.
There we go. We're going to give. So this is the annual giving show, our last live show of the season, because we don't work between Christmas and New Year's. I'm going out with my family to a warm place somewhere, and we'll be back in the first week of January doing the show again. So in the meantime, you'll have this to remember, these giving stories. The phone number, 888-825-5225. Brianna is in Austin, Texas to start us off. Tell us about giving, Brianna.
Hi, Dave and Dr. D. I love you guys so much. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. We love you. Thanks.
I'm so blessed to be talking with y'all to share my giving story. So my husband, Ralph, and I are actually on the receiving end of the biggest blessing of our lives. And it's funny, Dave, in October, when we received this blessing, I actually called in and spoke with you to get some guidance, so you might remember me. So a little background, Ralph and I have been married 3 years, and he has two older sons. Being a mom has been a dream of mine. I've wanted to be pregnant and experience motherhood my entire life. After we got married, we tried having a baby, and a year into it, nothing. So we saw a fertility doctor, and at that point, after doing testing, they said, look, Brianna, based on your age and what's going on, you're going to have to do IVF. So obviously, that's a very expensive procedure. And at the time, Dave, we didn't know you. So we were over the top in consumer debt, like coming out of our ears. Just, it was so stressful. So the doctor came in and gave us a little price list. And he says, well, you guys can finance it. $20,000 to $25,000. We have finance options. For a split second, we said maybe we should. And then I said, you know what? We can't. So I cried a lot. We left the appointment. We never went back. I was so sad and felt so defeated, and I just didn't understand. I didn't understand why this was happening. I got on my knees and I cried and I prayed to God, and I basically just said, you know what, God, I'm giving it to you. I trust you, and that's that. So 2019, October, Dave, we found you, jumped into FPU, read the book, budgeting, everything, and God willing, we've paid off almost $30,000 in this last year.
Wow.
Yes, so blessed. So here we are in 2020. October, we celebrated my birthday. We went to California to visit friends and family. And Dave and John, a dear friend of mine, over 20 years of friendship, he and his wife have been very blessed with wealth. And for my birthday, they blessed us with $20,000 to get IVF.
Wow.
Whoa.
I love these people. I love these people.
Brianna, you have way better friends than I do.
I'm telling you, not only that, y'all, they basically said that if it's more than $20,000, call them and they'll take care of it.
Wow.
Oh.
So honestly, I've never in my life had a blessing like that. We came straight home back to Austin, saw a new fertility doctor, and we're starting treatments in January.
Yay!
Congratulations.
No, you got to call back next year and give us the end of this story, okay?
I promise I will.
Yeah, we have to finish this story out because we're catching this blessing mid-blessing.
We are. And I just want to say one thing to your listeners, Dave. I just want to encourage your listeners, no matter what's going on in life, whether it's money issues, the loss of a loved one, marriage issues, no matter what, lean on God. Pray to him, talk to him. He's going to get you through it. Honestly, we thought there was no way, and God made a way for this, and it was on his time, and we are so blessed. And I just encourage others to just remember to lean on him.
Testify, sister. I like it. So, here's what's interesting that I think about in this is that you didn't have this motivation, but the net result was when you started getting your act together and were worthy of trust, God just redirected some wealth your way.
He did.
Yeah. I mean,
such a blessing.
And while you were living in chaos and impulse, he didn't do it.
No.
Matches up with the parable of the talents. Those who manage a little well are given more to manage. And wow, I love this. Woo!
Thank you.
Well done. Great story. Hey, thank you for calling in with that. That's cool. I do remember her call. She was calling in. She was like freaking out. Yeah. Do I have to put this $20,000 on my debt snowball? I went, absolutely not. It was a designated gift, like the nursery gift you and I got yesterday.
That's right. Yeah.
That was $1,500, right? But it's a designated gift, and yeah, that's a place in a couple's soul when they're trying to have children that's special.
And I know that Brianna is reeling from this extraordinary gift. I would love to hear from the people who were able to give this gift.
Oh, yeah.
That they walked step by step, lived disciplined lives, were blessed, and then just had the ability, and then a need came forward to literally reimagine somebody's family tree.
I can imagine this guy sitting there going, we got $2 million in our 401k. Let's give him $20,000.
Let's give him $20,000.
And have a baby.
And have a family. Wow.
Touchdown!
Good for you guys.
It's the annual giving show on the eve of Christmas Eve. Dr. John Deloney and Dave Ramsey on the Dave Ramsey Show. One of the things that makes the Dave Ramsey Show unique from other shows is that we genuinely care about our listeners. That's why we are very intentional about choosing our advertisers. Blinds.com offers high-quality window treatments at unbelievable prices. And then their customer service is truly unbeatable. They make it simple to shop for blinds, shades, and interior shutters from home with easy online ordering and free shipping right to your door. And Blinds.com will help you every step of the way, just like they've helped thousands of my listeners with free design help by phone and online. Plus, they guarantee the perfect fit. Go today and take advantage of this week's special offer. It's the eve of Christmas Eve, which is our annual giving show. Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey personality and author of the best-selling book, Redefining Anxiety. What it is, what it's not, and how to get your life back. We're taking your calls about giving. When you received something or when you gave something, all about inspiring generosity. And, sometimes you're supposed to give on the down low. What the Bible says, where your right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing, and it's, you're not doing it for accolades and that kind of thing. But I have discovered that, and that's how I do the vast majority of our giving. Most of the Ramsey Family Foundation giving, or just Dave and Sharon giving somebody a high five with 100 or something. We don't talk about that. We just do it, and we don't bring it up. But occasionally, you need to be a vocal playing video example for other people so that they see it and they feel it. And so, the $10 million debt that we paid off around here. So we've done some publicity on that. We put it out, and it's been on Fox Business. I was on Fox and Friends this morning talking about it and that kind of stuff. And, the haters are like, well, you're not supposed to tell anybody when you do that. Obviously, you're just doing this for advertising. It's like, dadgum, I could have bought advertising a whole lot cheaper than that.
That's right.
Okay?
That's right.
You butt. And so, obviously, I didn't do it for that. I have to, when somebody says that, it does kind of sting a little, and I think, well, I wonder if I was doing it for wrong motives. But then I remember, no, we're called to teach you guys how to handle money, and all of us are called to be an example to one another, to lift each other up, and so brag a little bit about receiving or about giving today to inspire others and to cause it to be paid forward.
I wrestled with that personally for years, and until I learned that people learn more by watching you, and that was a signal for me that I got to be more demonstrative for my kids, for my family, for my friends, because that's how they're going to say, oh, that's what that looks like, right? In the real world.
And that's how that feels, and here's an example of how you can do something with leverage.
There you go.
And, I've gotten to sit at some giving symposiums. Like I went to this one thing with these guys, and the average net worth in the room was like $1 billion. I was a wiener in a steakhouse.
Right.
I mean, I was not in my league,
They wouldn't let me in the parking lot.
But those men and women had different ideas on how to do stuff on giving that was really cool.
Yeah.
And it lit me up. And on my little small scale, then I was able to come back and be motivated by that. So those of you that don't like that we're trumpeting giving from the rooftops, maybe we need to do that this year, because everybody's been all concerned about not giving this year. Everybody's been all concerned about taking this year, about divisiveness and polarization on the racial issues and the dadgum political disaster and mask or no mask, and let's just get all mad. Let's just spend the whole freaking year being mad at each other, everybody. No, not today. This is the eve of Christmas Eve. Calm your butt down. We're talking about generosity, and we want to hear from you. 888-825-5225. Trent is in Phoenix. Trent, tell us your giving story.
Dave, Dr. John, this is a huge pleasure. This is definitely one of the coolest things that's ever happened to me.
Well, we're honored. You need to get out more, brother.
Yeah, you've got to get better friends, Trent. You need way better friends.
How can we help, man? Tell us your giving story.
So a few years ago, my wife and I were living in the middle of the New Mexico, West Texas oil field, and I had a job. I was working for an excavation company, and I was making the equivalent of minimum wage in the oil field. And the cost of living out there is horrendously high. We were renting a 2-bed, 1-bath. I think it was probably about maybe 600 or 700 square foot in a fourplex, and it was $1,250, and we had to cover utilities on top of that. So add on all of the other, food and everything else, and it was draining more than we were making. And when I was working at this company, this excavation company, I got put under the tutelage of this crusty, hard, old man. He was larger than life, very physically imposing guy, but he was very hard, very unkind, very ruthless most of the time. He was a notorious Scrooge 365 days a year. Unless he was around women, in which case he had charm and charisma to burn, and he was just the life of the party. So he took me under his wing, and he taught me how to drive heavy equipment and stuff like that. And slowly but slowly, we became friends, and he knew how much I was making. He made considerably more than I did. So a few months later, I had left that company for a job that paid a couple dollars an hour more. And my wife was working for a pharmacy that was in town, and he came in there to get his prescription. And he came in, and this was right before Christmas, and he was wearing a Santa hat. And he came in, and he started talking to my wife, and he said, "How's that boy that you married?" And she said, "Well, we're doing good. We're just doing what has to be done." And he said, "Well, that's just, that's good. Good for you guys. Awesome." And then he picked up his prescription, and then he had an envelope in his hands. And he slid it across the desk to her. And he said, "Now you wait until I leave before you open that. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to everybody." And then he rushed out the door. And I had already resigned that Christmas to be just horrible and no presents, and we were going to be behind on bills and everything. And she hurried and opened up the envelope, and she found this really expensive-looking card inside, and she opened it up, and inside it had in his hand-scratched writing to Mrs. J and that guy that she married. I hope that this can make your Christmas a little bit more magical. And there was 10 $100 bills in the envelope.
Wow.
And she rushed out to the front door, past everybody that was in line. She got outside, and she said it was the most magical scene she'd ever seen. He got into his truck, and he was just getting out of the parking lot as fast as he could. And she said, I'll call him Bill for the sake of the story. She said, "Bill, we can't accept this. That's too much." And he said, "Santa doesn't take gifts back." And then he just roared out of there. And a lot of people have descriptors of what Santa is to them. He rides in a sleigh, he wears a suit, he, gives toys to people. For me, at least for that Christmas, my descriptors of Santa was he's vulgar, he smokes Camel White, he's an alcoholic, and he drives a Chevy.
Yeah, but dude, when you're making that kind of money, $1,000 might as well be $100,000.
Yeah.
That was a lot of money. That was like changed your whole net worth.
Yep.
That's huge, man. I've been right there. I know exactly how that crap feels.
In West Texas speak, that guy you married is a special language for my friend that I can't say those words out loud or I'll just break down and start crying.
Amen. I don't know. People say that about me all the time. They tell Sharon that guy you married.
Yeah, that's totally different in Tennessee. Yeah.
That's definitely what they tell Sheila. Sheila and Sharon are in that same camp. Yeah, they get that guy you married.
That's exactly right.
And there's a bit of an eye roll.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like a sympathy thing, that guy you married.
That's exactly. There's special groups. Special groups.
Oh, I love it. Well done.
Santa Claus
Ho, ho, ho,
smoking
baby.
Camels in a Chevy. I love it.
He's got a cigarette hanging out of his lip, roaring off in the four-wheel drive. I like it. Go, Santa. Ho, 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 baby. If you live like no one else, later you can live and give like no one else. On the eve of Christmas Eve, this is our annual giving show here on the Dave Ramsey Show.
Tidings for Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings we bring.
If you're financially conscious, you know that healthcare expenses can take a big bite out of your budget. Christian Healthcare Ministries, or CHM, is here to help trim those expenses and make sure your family is cared for. CHM is not health insurance, but it is Christians helping other Christians by sharing each other's medical bills.
Most people have the means to pay for basic doctor services, but when it comes to something on a much larger scale, say several $1,000s for surgery or a hospitalization, folks are worried they'll be left to try and find a way to pay for that themselves.
Not too long ago, I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, and they really came through. So far, we've had over $180,000 worth of bills and got close to 75% in discounts. CHM shared the rest of the expenses.
To see if CHM is right for you and your budget, check out chministries.org/budget.
My co-host today, Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey personality, best-selling author of the book Redefining Anxiety, What It Is, What It's Not, and How to Get Your Life Back. Today's the eve of Christmas Eve, and the way we always celebrate that around the Dave Ramsey Show is we do a special giving show where we take your calls and you tell giving stories about a time you gave or you received in order to inspire 17 million listeners to greater generosity. Pretty cool. On the debt-free stage, but with a giving story, Hillary is with us live in the lobby from Lakeland, Florida. Hi, Hillary. How are you?
I'm good, Dave. How are you?
Better than I deserve. What brings you to Nashville?
Well, born and raised actually here in Nashville, currently living in Florida. I'm here to tell a little bit of a giving story.
Okay.
And I want to start that out with saying I appreciate just a few weeks ago you sharing a little bit about in one of your podcasts, human trafficking, and I actually work in that field. And after that podcast is when they talked about the giving show, and so I actually wrote in after that, and I just appreciate you sharing and getting the word out about the work that we're doing out here. So that led me to our story about giving, and a little bit of backstory with that is that I have a little girl out here running around like crazy in the lobby, but she's 1.5 years now, and while I was pregnant, actually had multiple complications with her. It was several hospital visits that I was spending weeks at a time, days at a time, multiple times that I just had to be in the hospital while pregnant with her. Mm-hmm. And then after giving birth, she actually had several complications as well. And so in December of last year, she was born in September. In December of last year, my husband and I found ourselves getting a bill every day. You know, you check that mailbox, and it's supposed to be one of the happiest times of the year, and it was one of the most stressful times of the year. Every time that we would check the mailbox, it was another doctor, another hospital bill, another this, another that, another all of that. And so at that time, it was stress. It was just stressful all the time. And I'll never forget, and it's a family member of ours, and our giving story begins with him because we opened the mailbox one day, and for the first time, we didn't have a bill, but we actually had just enough of a check to cover her hospital stay visit. And in that moment, it was like, oh, okay, we can breathe, because for the first time, and if you've ever had a child in the hospital, you know when that bill comes, it's just this heavy burden, and to have that little or a lot amount to cover just enough to be done with that bill was like just such a relief on us. And honestly, from then, we were not doing, we did, your whole, everything before we got married, but we were not actually participating in it until kind of that moment. And that's really why I wanted to share today, because he gave us, and then from there we realized, like, okay, we got to honor not only him, but we got to honor ourselves, and we have to honor the Lord. And it took a couple months and a few more hospital visits to really get our budget under control and kind of do that whole back and forth thing. But once we got that budget under control, starting kind of mid-year this year, we've on our baby step 2, and we've paid off about $20,200 so far.
Wow, good for you.
We have a little bit more to go, a lot more to go, but we're super motivated just in, honoring what people are out here to do.
Yeah.
It's really just to like bless your lives and to honor your family, and being able to do that and honor the Lord in that too gave us such an opportunity to say, okay, we got to be out here doing it. And so we have one more hospital bill left, and then student loans from there, and we'll be done with our debt, and hopefully back here doing our debt-free school.
I love it. So happy for you.
Yes.
Well done. Well done.
I appreciate it.
And that's a great story, because there's something about, like you said, a child being in the hospital, that there's a hopeless feeling. You can't, not hopeless, not that you don't hope for the child, but it's helpless feeling.
Absolutely.
You don't feel like there's anything you can do. You're stuck.
Absolutely.
And then the bills are piling up and you're stuck again. And then this one check breaks them loose. That's a big deal.
It's one of the most vulnerable places I'll say I've ever been in my life, because you just, in the midst of having all of this come in the mail, you're also trying to take care of her, make sure she has the best care as well. And so that little bit of relief was like the thing that it was like, okay, this is it. And this is our sign that we have to get on board and kind of do this. We actually, happy to share, but just last week on our anniversary, we got an email stating negative results.
Love it.
And so, I'll say this, since doing this, we're consistently tithing for the first time in our whole marriage.
Mm-hmm.
We feel like we're more of a team than we ever have been. Anxieties are lower, which is such a big thing. People think a budget won't do that to you, but it really actually helps.
Does.
Yeah, and
it's
so
a sense of power. Yeah.
Really, truly it is. So we're grateful for you.
Well, you too. We're happy. Thank you. Congratulations.
Absolutely.
And what a great giving story. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you so
Merry
much.
Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas.
Open phones at 888-825-5225, taking your giving and or receiving stories. Rick and William are in Utah. Hey, guys, how are you?
Hello, Dave and John. It's good to talk to you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. Tell us your giving story.
Hey, we wanted to call in. I wanted to brag on my son, William, here for a little bit. He's a junior at Desert Hills High School here in St. George, and every year Desert Hills does a fundraiser to benefit or bless somebody in need in our community. And this year they decided to raise money for a little girl in the community that has leukemia. And they were partnering with Make-A-Wish to raise money and benefit, give her some benefit that way. And William saw this, and he was thinking about it. He's got a little sister about the same age, and he said, I've got this money, and he said, if somebody, if my little sister was having some problems, I would hope that somebody would help her out. And so he, unbeknownst to us, he didn't talk to us or anything. He just decided, he's like, I've got $500. I'm going to throw that down and try to help Jim out here. So,
wow.
He came to us later and did that. But I mean, that's a huge deal for a 16-year-old kid to throw $500 at a fundraiser that way. So,
amen. Well, I got to tell you, as a dad of 3 kids that do a lot of giving and are generous, it makes us proud. It makes us stick our chest out, doesn't it?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Way to go, William.
I don't know why we were blessed to have such a good, generous kid like this, but
all the beatings paid off.
I'll tell you, Rick, generous kids come from generous parents. And that apple hit that tree all the way down. So congratulations to you. And I want you to know all the extra tips and the extra kindness that you showed people over the years. William just absorbed that, and now he is able to take that and magnify it and give it to people who he's never met, he's never going to meet, but are going to be blessed by it nonetheless. So good for you, man.
Amen.
William, are you there?
Yeah, thank you. I'm here. Hi.
Brother, you are a different kind of, 16, 17-year-old?
I'm 16.
When I was 16, $500 in my head would have bought me a lot of things, but not a anonymous gift to a young girl. And I want to tell you, brother, I'm proud of you, and you are paving the sidewalks that my little kids out here are going to be walking on as they get older. And you are a reason that we can be optimistic about what the future is going to look like with young people like you in your heart. So I'm grateful for you, man.
William, you're a stud, man. We're proud of you. Well done. I love it. And that's what happens. Rachel says in the book, Smart money, smart kids. More is caught than taught.
They are watching everything, moms and dads.
Very unusual for you to have a outlandishly, outrageously generous 16-year-old. Now, you can when they're a lot of them when they're 3 are generous.
Right.
But life knocks it out of them by the time they're 16, and if they're not seeing mom and dad model it.
And $500 for a 16-year-old's $1 million, right?
Yeah.
That's a lot of dates and a lot of music and a lot of other things that.
Way to go, William.
What a stud, man.
Way to go, Rick. Proud of both of you. Very good stuff. That's fun. Set the bar, man. Set the bar. That's how it works. It's our annual giving show. This is the Dave Ramsey Show.
Come let us adore him. Oh, come let us adore him. Christ the Lord. St. Nicholas, lean your ear this way. Don't you tell a single soul what I'm gonna say. Christmas Eve is coming soon. Now
it's our annual giving show. Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey personality, is my co-host today. Budgeting doesn't have to suck. You know, most of the time when you say budgeting to people, they like flinch, like you swung at them or something. You just need a budget that actually works. So you tell your budget what to do until you get it done, and then it tells you what to do. So the whole thing's voluntary. You don't have to do it, so it doesn't have to be like this onerous thing. However, if it actually works, it's probably on every dollar. The world's best budgeting app, which is a Ramsey product and is inside of Ramsey Plus. See, with every dollar, you get a plan on how to spend and save every month and how to connect your budget with your bank so that all your transactions are done boom, boom, just like that. And you get custom insights on your spending. And here's the deal. When you can visualize what's going on when you hit, what's going to hit and when, you don't have to wonder if you have enough to cover your bills. Your stress level goes way down when you budget. Way down. Even if you have a lot of bills you can't pay. Even if you have too much month left at the end of the money. When you budget, you at least know I got my food, my shelter, my clothing, my transportation, and your stress level goes way down. So, when you can make a plan for your money, that's when you start feeling control. To start a free trial of Ramsey Plus, text the word BEGIN to 33789. That's BEGIN to 33789. Gail is with us. Gail is in Jacksonville, Florida. Hi, Gail. Welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show.
Hey, Dave. Hey, John. Merry Christmas.
Merry. Tell us your giving story.
So my husband has 15 nieces and nephews, and every year they have children. So every year we would pick one of them to buy for Christmas. This particular year we picked a niece that her husband had left her because he didn't want to raise children, and she had a 2, 4, and 6-year-old. She was working, and he had decided that drugs was more important than the children.
Yeah.
So me and my husband would go garage selling every weekend and buy the kids clothes and toys and try to provide as much as we could to help her. I was listening to the radio, and they had a contest which I entered on her behalf, and I had to do an essay on why I thought she should get the vehicle, and it was giving a vehicle to somebody in need. She had a vehicle that was barely getting her back and forth to work. So I did the contest, and the day before the winner was announced, they had called me and told me I was one of the 3 runner-ups, and that if they chose us, how would she paid the taxes on the vehicle and everything to get the vehicle. And I said, well, if you choose her, me and my husband will pay for everything. We will make sure that she even has insurance for 6 months. So about the next morning, they called and said they had chose me. And we had reached out. I called her job and spoke to her boss and we had the radio station go to her job, pick her up. She had no idea where she was going or what was going on. We were at the place where the vehicle was. They pulled in, and she seen me and her uncle standing there, and she started crying because we had already been doing so much. They read the essay to her, what I had said about her. And then as they're reading this essay, they're driving the van up behind us. And then they said, the gift that you have won is behind you. And when she turned around, we all started crying. She was crying. They took pictures of us.
I love it.
But it was just great. It was so great. And to say real quick, 2 days ago, I was going shopping to buy my pastor's wife a gift. Me and my husband pulled in to McDonald's to get lunch on our way, and I walked in to the counter, and the gentleman in front of me bought me lunch, and he turns around and he says, God told me to buy y'all lunch. And I thought, we're headed to get our pastor's wife a gift. So, God is just so good. And so I just wanted to share.
Amen.
Well, thank you so much,
so
Gail.
fun.
It's beautiful.
It's all around you. It's all around you,
Yes.
this generosity thing. But that's a fun one. I mean, they pull the car up behind her, and everybody turns around and starts crying. I almost start crying when you're telling it. That's great.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was a van of all things, and she had a 2, 4, and 6-year-old, children that she's trying to provide for, and
that's a game
no child
changer.
support or anything. So we even took her and got her 6 months worth of insurance on the car. We bought her a cell phone and paid for that in advance, and we just set her up. And it was just so heart-filling, and giving is so better than receiving.
Amen. Amen.
There's just something about it.
A lot more fun. And the good news is you were in a position to do that.
Yes, amen. Yes, all because thank you for your plan. We've been listening to you since 2000.
Well, I didn't do it. You did it. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got yourself in a position. Being generous, you can have great intentions. If I intend to send my wife flowers, it doesn't count. But you got to really do it. And so you can have all kinds of great generous intentions in your little heart. But if you don't get yourself positioned to act on those, then you're not ever going to really get to see the benefit of that generosity. And you guys did, Gail. I'm proud of you. Well done. Very well done. That's cool.
That's so cool.
That's fun.
Because that's a letter writing exercise that paid off real big, and then also the cell phone and the insurance and all the knickknacks, right?
And the taxes.
Those are game changers for that family.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Absolutely a game changer.
Beautiful stuff. Kevin is with us on our giving show. Kevin's in Dallas. Kevin, tell us your giving story.
Hey, guys. Merry Christmas. So my story begins back in 2013. I had just gotten out of college and had been offered an internship at a church here in Dallas. And so I was working part-time there and kind of figuring out who I was as an adult and what I was supposed to do with my life. And as I was doing ministry, I realized that I felt called to learn the Bible and train for ministry. And so just so happens there's a good seminary here in Dallas called Dallas Theological Seminary. And so what I did was I felt like I was obeying God and put all of my savings that I had after college into my first semester there. So I was able to pay for that in fall of 2013. But the problem was that was all my money. And I didn't really have much money at that time. So I didn't really know what to do from there, but I felt like I was in the right place. And I remember I was coming to the end of that fall semester in 2013, and it was a Friday. And it was a Friday that my money for the next semester was due. And if I didn't pay for next semester, I'd drop my classes and I wouldn't be able to continue on. And I remember praying that morning to God and just saying, Lord, I know, I think I'm in the right place. I don't have any money, and I know I don't want to go into debt or anything to do this. So, hey, if you want me here, you need to help me figure out a way to pay for this. And otherwise, I'm glad to take some time off school and take a load off for a while. So anyways, that was that morning. That afternoon, I showed up to my desk, and nobody really knew about this except for a couple people who were close to me and my family who didn't tell anybody. But I show up at my desk, and there's an envelope on my desk, and I'm looking at it going, well, what's that? And I open it up. There's no name on it, and inside of the envelope is $3,000 cash, unmarked, and with a Bible verse on it. That's Romans 12:13 that says, "Give to the saints who are in need." And my bill for that next semester was just about $50 away from $3,000. So
wow.
that money covered my next semester. And I'll tell you what, I was floored. And I've been in seminary for about 7.5 years, and I just graduated about a week ago. I wrote my last paper. And,
I love it. Well, congratulations. What a great story, too. Don't you wonder who that was? I do.
I really want to know who that was.
I really want to know who it was. Was it a professor? Was it a pastor? Was it a parent? Who did that? That's awesome.
That is.
That's very
almost to
cool.
the dollar, man.
Well done. Well done. And you just love it when got God's fingerprints all over it. This is a giving show on the Dave Ramsey Show.
The total debt is around $640,000.
I'm wanting to come clean about a credit card that he doesn't know about.
I am going to probably pay a student loan for the rest of my life.
I just don't even know where to begin.
And I don't know what to do, and I'm scared.
Welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show. Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studios, it's the Dave Ramsey Show, where debt is dumb, cash is king, and the paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. I'm Dave Ramsey, your host. You jump in, we'll talk about your life and your money. Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey personality and author of the best-selling book Redefining Anxiety, is my co-host today. This is the eve of Christmas Eve, which can only mean one thing on the Dave Ramsey Show, our traditional giving show. We always do a giving show as our last broadcast of the calendar year, heading into Christmas because God gave His only begotten Son. Paid our debts with it. And so we're going to talk about giving, generosity. We teach you to live like no one else so that later you can live and give like no one else. So if you have a great giving story, you call in and talk to Dr. John and me. We want to hear your great giving story. It could be when you gave something or when you received something, but it's inspiring to other people to hear great giving stories. As a matter of fact, this may be one of the more popular shows we do every year, so much so that we're tempted to do them all year, but we reserve them for this special day. Stacy is with us in Houston, Texas. Hi, Stacy. Welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show. Tell me your giving story.
Hey, Dave. I actually have a story of receiving and giving. On September the 17th of 2017, our son was killed tragically in a car wreck.
Oh,
and
sorry, Stacy.
He was, thank you. He was 24 years old, and he was married. They were expecting their first child very soon. In fact, the baby was born 12 days after Jacob passed away. So in those days that followed, the vehicle that they had was destroyed, and there was no vehicle for Daniela and the new baby. And our community and Jacob's employer rallied together and donated money to provide a vehicle for her. And so we were so blessed as a family by the generosity of our community and people that knew Jacob and loved them and knew us and loved us, that we wanted to give back to our community, and we wanted to do something for the seniors, the seniors for our high school that were graduating. So our family has always been fundraising, like for cancer fundraisers and such. So what we decided to do to honor Jacob and to give back to the community was we made homemade chocolate chip cookies, and my husband fries pork skins, and Jacob's oldest brother put together a flag football tournament that we try to do annually, but this year we were unable to do due to the COVID crisis. But the first year that we gave the scholarships, we were able to raise money to give 7 scholarships totaling $14,500. And we live in a very small town. I know it said Houston, but we're actually in Buena, Texas.
Oh, yeah.
So that first, like I said, the first year we gave $14,500. And this last year we didn't get to have one of our events. So we were a little bit shorter on funds, but we were still able to give $10,000. To the high school students. 7 high school students received a combined total of $10,000.
Wow.
College this fall. And we can plan on continuing to do this as long as the Lord allows us. We kind of took a break on cooking food during the COVID crisis, but this Christmas season, we decided to try the cookie bake. And this cookie bake, we raised $1,000 in about a week. So we have $1,000 to go into our scholarship funds. And very fortunately, we found out that our company that we work for matches. They have a matching gifts program. So my husband and I both work for the same company, and they'll match our donation up to 50%, up to a total of $2,500. So we continue to be blessed to be able to give back to the community here that we live in. So that's our story.
Wow.
We feel tremendously blessed by God, by the people that He's put in our lives. And I wanted to share our story so that some people may have gone through something similar, may feel like they have no hope, something bad has happened to them, but there's always a way to take the bad and turn it into good. My favorite scripture that I've leaned on so much is Romans 8:28. And we know that for those who love God, and all things work together for good, for those who are called according to His purpose.
Well, it's beautiful to hear you making meaning out of a dark, dark time and blessing so many other people with your giving.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, that's very touching. It's unbelievably powerful. And, you know, it's interesting that what that, you know, giving you something to lay your hand to at some of the darkest moments of your entire life, it gave you something to do that to not, quote, turn it into a positive, but just in the middle of your pain to do something positive. And because you can't really turn his loss into a positive. It's not. That's impossible. But there can be good that comes of the dark hours that you're walking through and your pain. And you just did something really, really gorgeous with it. That's so beautiful. Well done. It's got to feel great too.
It does feel good. It's been a tremendous part of our healing.
Yeah.
For me personally, it's like, you know, my child was 24 years old, and, you know, when they're little, you're always doing something for them. And then when they get big, you don't have to do things for them as much, but you still do have to do some things. But it's like when they're gone, there's nothing left to do, but now there is.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. And high five to the, you know, businesses get a lot of bad rap for being just money hungry, grubbing jerks. High five to the 2 businesses that in this story, one of them helped out the wife of their employee that passed away. They didn't have to do that. And high five to her company for matching the donations up to a chunk.
Yeah.
Putting some good out into the world.
And the truth is, that's generally what businesses do.
Right. That stories never get told.
But they don't ever talk about that because they want to talk about and cause division and cause other things. So instead, we get the beauty of this, and we get to see the bouquet of flowers that was made.
I love it.
Over an unbelievably difficult situation. It's the eve of Christmas Eve, which means that it's time to say Merry Christmas, and it's time to stop and celebrate generosity, and that's what we're doing today. Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey Personality, is my co-host, and we're taking your calls about giving and about receiving. And my team set this in front of me. If you're still looking for great Christmas deals, you can also be a blessing. And our famous $10 sale is still going. That means that over 50 of our best-selling books, envelope systems, only $10 each. Number 1 bestseller, The Total Money Makeover, approaching 8 million copies now. The new quick read that hit the bestseller list by Dr. John Deloney, 84 pages. It's a couple chapters, redefining anxiety, what it is, what it's not, and how to get your life back, is flying off the shelves. We had to go to reprint twice, just $10 each. And we extended our discount on the starter envelope systems, and you can get them for only $5 right now. All kinds of goodies at DaveRamsey.com. And the sale ends on December the 31st, just a couple of days away, when finally the year 2020 comes to a close.
This one in the books, man.
Check it off, baby. Check it off. This is the Dave Ramsey Show. Folks, it's an honor to tell you about the Army National Guard. Not only are they big supporters of our high school curriculum, but they also give you the opportunity to impact your local communities. Whether your goals are to get an education, serve your country, or have a better life, the Army National Guard can help get you there. Plus, they offer unbelievable financial benefits. Secure your future today. Visit nationalguard.com to find out more. Dr. John Deloney Ramsey Personality is my co-host today on our annual giving show. If you have a giving story or a receiving story that will inspire others to generosity, that's what this show is about today. Open phones at 888-825-5225. Faith is in Cincinnati. Hey, Faith, tell us your giving story.
Hi, Dave and John. How are you?
Great.
I'm in college, and last year someone anonymously donated $25,000 so I could graduate debt-free.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
Oh.
Yeah.
And you have no idea who did this?
No idea. No, it was handled through my pastor, and the church wrote the check, so I wouldn't find out.
Wow.
That's cool. What are you studying?
Linguistics, and I have an internship with a Bible translation nonprofit, so I'm studying that side of language learning and translation.
So someone felt like that they were investing not only into you, but into the ministry that you're going to be doing, right?
Yeah, which was very affirming because I was kind of thinking maybe it might be just my plan and not God's, but I think God and somebody else believes in what I'm trying to do, so.
Wow. You're right. Affirming is a good word. That's like the ultimate high five, a $25,000 high five.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know who it was because I wasn't necessarily checking in with my church family. I moved about an hour away from my hometown, so I don't know how they found out about where I was or how long I'd been in college and trying to pay it off cash flow as I went. So I'll graduate December of 2021, and I had a question because I'll have about $13,000 left after graduation, and I want to give it to someone else. But is it wise for me to put aside an emergency fund or just give it all away?
I think you should ask God what he thinks you ought to do, and I think you'll have a good indication based on two things. One is the circumstances will present themselves to where it's wise to do what you're thinking. And two, you'll have a sense of peace about it.
Okay.
If you don't have a sense of peace, if you have a troubled spirit about it, and or the circumstances are sideways, if both those things don't line up, then you're probably supposed to hold on to it.
Okay.
So the only way you would release this, and I love your spirit that you're willing to pass it on and continue to pay it forward, and it might be that spirit is activated a decade from now, and there wouldn't be anything ignoble about that. There was no expectation by this giver that you pass it on if there was any left. There was no stipulation. You just are unbelievably blessed and want to continue that pattern, and I appreciate that. I think the intent of the giver, and really for that matter, I'll even speak for God momentarily, it was probably to make sure you get set up and get on this mission. And I think that's a first priority above the pay it forward idea. That's my opinion.
Okay.
And it's worth what you paid for it, by the way.
Thank you very much.
So, but here, the thing I always look for is if I do not have peace about something, or if the circumstances are screaming at me otherwise, then or especially if both of them aren't there. If I don't have peace and the circumstances are screaming, then I'm going, I don't think that's what this is for. That God wants to line these things up, and so. But for instance, if you were to leave college and you were to walk into a linguistics thing with the amount of money being paid to you that you could support yourself, and you have housing lined up, and you have your transition lined up, and you got furniture, and your utilities are set up, and you don't need any money, and you have this unbelievable peace, then maybe now is the time to pay it forward. But maybe this money is to be used for those kinds of things. And then later on, you'll have the opportunity to look back and go, I remember back when I was in college, and I'm going to write that check.
I love that. And I think your wisdom is wise. I think when somebody gives something to us that we don't expect, we instantly feel this burden that we've got to, now it's our job, we got to go do something right away. And there's something about putting yourself in a position so that you can secretly make sure that somebody else can give somebody else $25,000, and that takes years to be able to earn that kind of money, to be able to give freely that way. What a gift.
Yeah, very powerful. Right. Well done. Very well done. Melanie is in, if I pick up the right phone. Okay, Kelly, help me out. I hit the wrong button here. Thanks. All right, now let's try this. There she is. Melanie is in Des Moines, Iowa. Hi, Melanie. How are you?
I'm good, Dave. How are you?
Better than I deserve. Tell us your giving story.
It's not really a surprise to anyone that 2020 was an absolutely horrific year, but I went through a lot this year that goes even deeper than the pandemic. Unfortunately, I started out 2020 in a really terrible marriage, full of heartbreak and pain and just tremendous amounts of hurt, and I was carrying it on my own and was really secluded in that. And finally had the confidence and the courage to confide in my sister and her husband. Their names are Megan and Ben, and my story is really truly about them. Once I confided in them, they quickly began helping in any way possible and encouraging me and really just supporting me by both spending countless hours on the phone with me during the darkest moments of my life. From moments where I was crying on the bathroom floor to moments where I just really felt like I couldn't continue on. And all the time, we're just really trying to make sure that I felt safe and secure to do whatever I needed to do to be safe for the rest of my life. And they also, during that time, converted their basement into an apartment for my son and I to move into if the time came that I needed to leave my marriage. I made the courageous decision in March to leave my marriage after continued attempts to fight to save it had totally failed. And at that point, my sister Megan spent well over 100 hours between paperwork and communicating directly with the lawyers and helping me work through the loss of my marriage, just countless hours doing things for me while raising her daughters and working full time and being in a pandemic. Both her and Ben came out to support me as I packed up my house and left my husband. My sister helped me drive across the country. I was living in Seattle at the time, and we drove from Seattle to Iowa in an epic 26-hour straight road trip with my less than 2-year-old son and my dog.
That's like a 50-hour road trip there.
Yeah, it was not a short trip by any means. And then I moved straight into the basement that they had constructed for me. The most amazing part of that, though, is that they've allowed me to live here entirely rent-free, which has allowed me to pay off every ounce of debt I had accrued during my fight for custody and everything with my marriage ending. My parents and Ben and Megan had paid for the lawyer's fee, and I paid all of that back to them. I've also managed to entirely fund a 6-month emergency fund for my son and myself.
Wow.
And I'm well into saving for a down payment on a house now.
Wow.
And it's just truly, I cannot even be more thankful for.
So because of them, they pour the elixir on the ashes, and you were rebirthed out of the ashes.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself. They've just given me a safe place to live and to recover and to mourn and to heal. And it's been everything I could have ever asked for, and more, a lot more. And I've also, I can't even say that that's it, because I was also blessed. My brother-in-law, Ben, is a pastor of a congregation out here in Des Moines. And one Sunday I was in church and I completely broke down and I was crying in my sister's arms at the loss of my marriage. And a beautiful couple that I refer to only as my guardian angels approached my brother-in-law asking if they could fund me getting back on my feet. And they have anonymously given to me and my son multiple times and continue to do so in order for me to just survive.
Wow. God is going to make sure you recover. That's pretty amazing. You got people all around you, and he's seen to it. That's very powerful. Well done, Melanie. Thank you for sharing that. Beautiful stuff. This is the annual giving show here on the Dave Ramsey Show. One of the things that makes the Dave Ramsey Show unique from other shows is that we genuinely care about our listeners. That's why we are very intentional about choosing our advertisers. Blinds.com offers high-quality window treatments at unbelievable prices. And then their customer service is truly unbeatable. They make it simple to shop for blinds, shades, and interior shutters from home with easy online ordering and free shipping right to your door. And Blinds.com will help you every step of the way, just like they've helped thousands of my listeners with free design help by phone and online. Plus, they guarantee the perfect fit. Go today and take advantage of this week's special offer. It's our annual giving show on the eve of Christmas Eve. Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey personality, author of the best-selling book Redefining Anxiety, is my co-host today here on the air. We're taking calls and comments from the lobby from people who want to tell a giving story to inspire generosity. It could be a time you gave or a time you received. I don't care. All I care is that it's inspiring. And Dustin Majan, Maytan, I got that wrong, Dustin.
You got it.
Maytan. Know him well. Has been with us a year and a half, is on the Ramsey Trusted team. He works here at Ramsey for the last year and a half, has a great giving story. So he dropped by the lobby on our debt-free stage. So, Dustin, tell us your giving story.
My giving story is a receiving story. 13 years ago, my wife and I were in the middle of adopting our first son. And we were fundraising for it, so we baked pies, and we're telling people, hey, for a pie, just give us a random donation, whatever you're led to give us. So one Sunday, a member of the church comes up and asks Tammy questions about the adoption and that kind of thing, and then asks, so how much do you need? And my wife just kind of flippantly said, $10,000, not thinking much of it. And he goes, okay. Next week, she's delivering the pie to him out in the parking lot and gives him the pie. He hands her a folded up check, and she don't want to be rude and look at it right there. So thanks, and comes in the church. I see her coming to the church. She opens it up and is just stunned, mouth open, stunned. And so she comes over to me, shows it to me, and it was for $10,000.
Wow.
Just $10,000. I said, honey, you should ask for 20. But I didn't say that. We're
You
so
thought
amazed.
it, though. You did think
I
it.
absolutely thought it. Yeah. And that just sent us on a wonderful journey, that adoption. And then even in the hospital, when our son was born, the birth grandmother slid us a check for $5,000.
Wow.
We're like, adoption's super easy. This is so easy.
Yeah.
Then we adopted 2 more and realized it's not.
It's not easy.
Right.
It's not easy.
But amazing.
Very hard. But I am convinced adoption is close to God's heart. That suffer the little children to come unto me. I just, he adopts us, you know, and it's just, Paul talks about that real clearly in Scripture. And so what you and your family have done is amazing. And for that guy to get to come alongside you is also amazing. So you get to experience your giving by adopting, and you're receiving by adopting. But you're also receiving, you know, you're giving a pie and you're getting a $10,000 check for it.
Yeah, it was a good business model. Yeah.
That better have been an excellent
It was
pie.
not.
I'm just thinking.
It was not.
Why? You weren't even baking pies you're proud of? Come on, man. Come on, man.
Not $10,000 proud of.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Are you still in contact with this gentleman?
No. You know, he's up in church in Anchorage, Alaska, and we've since moved, so lost touch, but we became friends.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the important point is they weren't a rich family. You know, they just got a little chunk of money.
They just hold it with an open hand.
Exactly. Wow. And that meant so much to us, and obviously will always mean so much to us. And he's a part of our son. That family's a part of our son forever.
Sure.
That's right.
Absolutely.
What a beautiful story, Dustin.
That's amazing, yeah. Wow. So my challenge is when this lands on YouTube, go ahead and pull the clip and find him and send it to him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I didn't want to steal his crown from glory and mention their name.
Yeah,
so.
that's all right. It's all good.
But I'll send it to him.
You made the point, and it's a beautiful story. Anytime you can assist in adoption, and we had one another hour with infertility, somebody assisting in that, and it's just powerful. It's powerful. Well done. Thank you for sharing that, brother.
Thank you.
Open phones at 888-825-5225. You know, you can hold money with a really, really tight fist, and it won't get away.
Right.
But no more will get in. And when you hold it with an open hand like that, that's the sign of kindness. Even a dog understands that.
Yep.
Come here.
Yeah.
You double up your fist, even a dog understands that. I mean, you know, it's just, that's a doubled fist is a sign of anger in any culture.
Yep. And when you have it held tight like that, just remember that when you die, some undertaker that you don't know, making minimum wage, is going to pry that hand open and take it from you because you can't take it with you.
Yeah, never saw a Ryder truck fall in a hearse.
Never.
All right, Rachel's with us in Montana. Hey, Rachel, welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show and our special giving edition. Tell us your giving story.
Hi, Dave. Hi, Dr. John. So I was in college, and I was living at home with my parents, trying to save money and cash flow school. And I was trying to save up for my second semester. And I was working at a local restaurant, and I waited on a lady one day who spent quite a bit of time in my section, and I kind of got to talking to her and letting her know my story, that I was paying cash for school. And she said, you know, that's so great because I'm a self-made woman, and I admire those qualities about you. And I was actually going to sponsor my nephew to go to school, and he won't even register for classes. He has no motivation. So she was really happy to see all the motivation that I had. And she said, you know, how much do you lack for school and books? And I said, well, just $600. And so she left me a $100 tip that day, which was more than generous, but then showed up later at the end of my shift with a cashier's check for $600. Wow. And said, thank you for sharing your story with me. I want to sponsor you next semester if you come show me that you got a 4.0. So she paid for that, that $600 and then the whole next semester.
Yeah, because you went and got a 4.0.
Yeah, you did.
I made sure I got that 4.0.
Yeah, I'm thinking motivation. Well done.
Absolutely.
So you graduated in what?
Business management.
Okay, cool. And how many years ago was that?
It was about, probably 5 years ago now.
Wow. Okay, cool. So, what do you think the chances are that when you're in, your 30s or 40s that you're going to be sitting in a diner somewhere writing a check like that?
Oh, I fully intend on it. I think that was hugely inspiring to see someone have that kind of generosity and believe in me and support me in that way when she didn't even know me. I mean, all she knew was just the time I had spent with her waiting on her that day in my section.
Yeah, I think she knew you.
People who go through life looking for people to support and invest in, they identify it.
They can see
They can
it.
feel it.
They can smell it.
Yeah.
They can smell it. She knew you. She knew you better than you knew you probably right then. Well, I'm proud of you. Well done. And a great story. Thank you for sharing that. Very, very cool. Open phones at 888-825-5225. Larry Stewart was from Kansas City. And I got to meet Larry. And actually had him on the show a couple of times before he passed away of cancer. And he was known as Secret Santa. And his story started out that way. He walked into a diner in Mississippi and didn't have a dime. And he was hungry, and he sat down and ordered food anyway, fully intending to act like he lost his wallet or something and not have the money. And he's talking to the guy over the counter that owns the little diner, and the guy realized that he was broke and realized he was running a game. And he walked around behind him and reached down under his stool, and he said, "Hey, man, I think you dropped a $20 bill." And the diner guy planted it, handed it back to him. And Larry became a billionaire later in the cable industry, and he would dress up as Santa Claus and go and hand out thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars randomly on the streets of New Orleans after Katrina, on the streets of New York after 9/11. He would go into areas that had been hit by something, and he was wildly generous. Ended up actually writing a whole thing up on his website before he passed away on how to be a Secret Santa. Wow! And so he's wearing Santa Claus outfit, and he's got cops with him because he's walking around with $30,000 or $40,000 in his suitcase right there, and he's just handing out 1,000 here, 500 here, and just walking around looking at people and just walking through the grocery store, giving people money out, and holding their bag out in the parking lot, and he just hands them money, and then not even like that. He doesn't even know what's going on. He just randomly is throwing money around, just like.
And I have to believe that was more fun than earning it.
Oh, you bet. I mean, the guy was a fireball. Yeah. I mean, everything about him was fun. But, I mean, you can't be that wildly generous and not be fun. It's impossible.
I love it.
This is the Dave Ramsey Show. Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey personality, is my co-host today on the eve of Christmas Eve as we do our annual giving show. Thank you for joining us. Call in and tell us your story about giving or receiving, an inspirational generosity story to inspire everyone listening to greater generosity, more creative generosity, generosity that has more impact, and just in general, giving. Barbara is with us in Sacramento. Hey, Barbara, welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show. Tell us your giving story.
Hi, Dave and John. Thank you. It's a pleasure and an honor to speak with you. So my giving story, unfortunately, begins with my mom passing away on Thanksgiving. And she was 91 years old, and she lived an amazing life, never a burden to anyone. But what I didn't realize is that when you lose your mom, you could feel anger. And I did. And so I was fighting with my siblings, and I felt hurt and sad and mad. But one day, after storming out of my mom's condo that we were cleaning, and I was so upset, I was driving home, and it came to me. My inspiration came to me, give my whole portion of my mom's IRA to my favorite charity, St. John's Program for Real Change. This incredible program lifts women and their kids off the streets, gives them drug and alcohol treatment, counseling. They can get their GED, daycare, job training, and housing. And they're my favorite charity, and I wanted to do something in a big way. So I called them and let them know that I was giving them my IRA, which is going to be about $28,000. And it made me instantly feel 100% better. I was like smiling and joyful. And so that is my giving story. And I'm going to be working with, and also in addition, I didn't need the money. Thank you. I am retired, and I was like, what am I going to do with the money?
Yeah.
Why don't I give it away in a really big way? And so we're going to honor my mom with a plaque or a bench or something, but that's what I decided to do.
So you went back to cleaning out the condo and you weren't mad anymore, huh?
Right. Well, I wish.
It's not quite that simple, is it?
It wasn't quite that simple, but I'm still grateful.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for the both of you because I listen constantly. And here's the thing, I got out of debt, I'm retired, but I never budgeted. And you know what? I'm going to start budgeting.
Good.
And maybe I can give more away.
Yeah, it feels good, doesn't it?
It does feel good. It feels good to say it and to tell you the story. So thank you for that too, because it's a tough day today.
Well, it is, and I want you to know that there are thousands of people across the country experiencing the first Christmas season without somebody. And that weight that you feel, that anger, that sadness, that overwhelming, I don't know how we're going to get through this. Finding somebody else to bless, finding somebody else to give to is such a release. It's such a relief. It's such a gift for everybody involved. And you may not have gone back to that condo less angry, but when you sent that check on, man, I can just see you walking lighter and taller, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow. Yep. What a blessing.
Powerful. Well done.
Thank you.
Well, Barbara's a beautiful story, and it sounds like your mom lived a beautiful life. I'm really sorry she's gone for you.
Thank you. Yeah, she was amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I wish both of you a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holiday. Thanks for all the work you do and for the positivity that you send out into the world every day. It makes a difference for all of us.
Well, thank you. We appreciate you calling in, and Merry Christmas to you too. Wow. You know, I've often connected generosity to gratitude and gratitude to generosity as a cause and effect, both directions, really. But I never think about it with the other G word, grief.
Yeah.
And the three could get stirred up and make some really cool gumbo.
That's exactly right, yeah.
Grief, gratitude, generosity.
Mm-hmm.
Grateful for Mom, her life, and how beautiful it was, and that she was self-sufficient. She lived on her own. She left a IRA to each of the kids, in a sense, and grateful for all the good times and all that. And in the middle of that, it creates generosity, and in the middle of the grief, it's just there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, and Dave, I can't iterate enough. I can't say it over and over again. People have been we've been seeing the statistics. The anxiety's going up, the depression's going up, the grief is going up. And if you will just stop and find somebody to give to, find a group of people to give to, let some of that stuff pass out of you and through you to somebody else.
And if you don't have a dime, it's okay. Go down to the homeless shelter and serve soup.
Just go look somebody in the eye and say, hey, I want you to know that I love you.
Go serve soup. Go serve soup for an hour and talk.
Go pick up trash in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
Go do something on behalf of somebody else. Get out of your head and go be for someone else. And it just has a way of healing us from the inside out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's probably not appropriate when we're talking about serious mental health issues and comparing them with this, but there's something really selfish about a pity party.
Absolutely. It's you get stuck wondering, why did this happen to me, and what did I do? And you become the common denominator.
Yeah.
Instead of, how can I help? How can I go make sure someone else isn't going through this? And we all rise together with that.
I lost a friend of mine in cancer about a decade ago, and he was a savant, a philosopher, kind of a character. Classic, a redneck savant, but still, you know what I'm talking about. And he said he got cancer, and he's sitting on the thing, and the doc comes in and goes, look, this is bad. Mm-hmm. And he goes, that's strange. I always wondered what it was going to feel like if somebody said that.
Huh.
And he said, I never thought, why me? I thought, why not me?
Why not?
Other people get it.
Yeah.
Why not me? And I thought, wow, that's a different outlook. Because the pity party is why me.
Right.
Poor old pitiful me. Well, and we all have them. I mean, I can have a big one. I'm a drama queen, so I can have a.
You said it, not me.
I can. Hey.
But if you're able to immediately, whatever problem life lays at your feet, if you're able to back out 30,000 feet and say, why not me?
Why not me?
And we're all on the clock, right? We're all on the clock.
Why wouldn't I?
But when someone says your clock's short, now you know, I can really start living.
Turn 60, I think I'm going to jump out of an airplane. Why wouldn't I?
Well, why not?
With a good parachute, of
why
course.
Why not you, right?
Yeah.
And somebody else with another one, right?
So I did. It was fun. It was actually all really fun. Darcy's with us in Denver. Darcy, we're on the clock. Tell us your giving story right quick.
Hi, Dave and John. I made the decision in August to leave my toxic marriage. And because of that, I had found a great place for my kids and I to move into. But we had no furniture. We had nothing moving out. And I opened up to some of my friends about my decision to move. I actually talked to John shortly after I made the move. So, hi, John.
Hey, good to talk to you, Darcy.
You too. So I opened up to a few of my friends and just told them they had known what had been going on, but they didn't know when I was going to move. And within a week of me telling them my decision and all of this, they went out and they found people to either donate or they bought furniture for me and my kids. They moved everything in on the last triple-digit weekend of September. They moved 3 flights of stairs, all of the furniture, set everything up, filled our cupboards and our fridge with food. They filled up our bathroom with toilet paper and cleaning supplies, everything you could possibly imagine.
How are you doing now?
You would need in an apartment. I am actually doing incredible.
Good.
It's been so humbling, honestly.
So it worked.
And the kicker is that they loaned us their van until we were done with the divorce, because we only had one vehicle for our family.
Wow.
And so they loaned us their van. They paid for our subscription to streaming services, so we wouldn't have to pay that.
Wow. Well, they took great care of you, Darcy. That's incredible.
What a beautiful story, man.
That's great.
Friends showing
Chance
up.
of redemption. Everybody gather around. Here we go. Game on.
That's right.
I love it. That puts this hour of the Dave Ramsey Show in the books. Welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show. You can be intentional about your character. You can have money and a career. You are the hero in your story. Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studios, it's the Dave Ramsey Show, where debt is dumb, cash is king, and the paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. I'm Dave Ramsey, your host. Thank you for joining us. Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey personality, best-selling author, is my co-host today. This is the eve of Christmas Eve, so it's our annual giving show, meaning that we are taking calls from you as you tell inspiring stories about generosity, whether you were generous or someone was generous to you. And hey, we want to talk to you. The phone number is 888-825-5225. Now, moments ago, John, right before I went on the air, our radio team sent me a fabulous email just a minute ago. I'm so proud of them. Speaking of giving, our ratings on the Dave Ramsey Show have gone up dramatically in 2020. Obviously, people need the information on getting control of their money in a pandemic year, and so we kind of cheated in that regard. But we also was in an election year. There was a lot of reasons for people to listen to political talk radio, and instead they've been listening to us. And also our number of affiliates have gone up. We've just added a whole bunch of them coming on the first week of January. We will be at 638 radio stations. Rush Limbaugh, our good friend, is at 651, last count we had on him. Sean Hannity is at 575. But has more listeners than I have because he's got a lot of premium positions. And so he's legitimately the number 2 talk radio guy in America, and without a doubt we're number 3. There's no one else in the 500s or the 400s.
Wow.
It drops down to 375 to get to number 4. And that's because of you folks out there, and you give us of your time when you turn this show on. Your generosity towards us is amazing. Thank you. And those ratings and that popularity has allowed us to not only become, one of the top 3 talk radio shows in America, but also we're the number 5 podcast on all of iTunes in the world last year with the exact same thing. And so there's about 10 million of you listening on radio and about 10 million of you listening on podcast, roughly. And so thank you guys. We appreciate it. It has been a wild and wicked ride this year.
Right.
And
I think it's important to note that with the spike of listeners in 2020, you had one new key addition, Dave. Who might that have been that could have just helped send these ratings through the roof?
You know, I got Rachel Cruz on here pretty regularly.
You did.
And then and she started teaching us about humility.
She did. She did a good job. Well played. My mom's out here for crying out loud. Just trying.
Let me just tell you, it is the rock star of 2020. Definitely has been the Dr. John Deloney Show.
Dave Ramsey.
And the Redefining Anxiety book is flying off the shelves. No kidding, it really, really is. All kidding aside, no,
I'm having some fun.
I know you are. Your faux humor is just amazing. But. So we're going to be generous here, and we're going to take generous calls from you guys, calls about generosity. And one of the things we did do this year is we added a co-host to the show. And so every day one of the Ramsey personalities is on the air, and that has been a huge addition, all joking and prodding and kicking and butt kissing aside and all that stuff. But John's a huge addition. And the guys that work on my show work on his show as well, on his podcast, and taking live calls in the mental health field. And some of those are rather tricky. Not exactly your mother's 401k question that he gets. So, but he does have 2 PhDs, and I don't. So there's always that. He's Dr. Squared. There we go. All right, let's get out of this. I think we're stuck here. All right. Kim is with us in Dayton, Ohio. Hey, Kim, welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show.
Hi, Dave and Dr. John. I am so excited to talk to you.
You too. Tell us your giving story.
Well, I'll tell you. I am a nurse anesthetist. I went to anesthesia school as a single mom, and I've been blessed, and I just want to give a shout-out to all the CRNAs out there.
Amen.
And I'll tell you, this story is true. It happened to me about, I would say, 8 or 10 years ago. So it was about 3 weeks before Christmas, and I was in the dollar store, and I put my stuff up on the counter, and the lady asked me to put the close sign at the end of my stuff because she says, I have to get out of here and get to my other job. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's a bummer. You have to work here, and then you go to another job. She says, yeah, I'm a single mom, and, I have to take care of my kids. And I said, hey, I get it. I'm a single mom, too. And so I put the sign there, and we got to talking, and I said, what's your other job? And she said, I'm a nurse's aide. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's cool. I said, well, I'm a nurse, and actually I went back and did anesthesia. And I said, why don't you go to nursing school? And she said, oh, I couldn't do that. I don't have the money. I'm not smart enough, on and on, So we talked for a couple minutes, and I put my hand in my pocket, and all I had was 2 20s. And I pulled it out, and I said, here, take this and give something, get something for your kids for Christmas. She said, I can't take your money. I said, listen, God has blessed me, and I'm supposed to pass it on. So just please take it. And I also had a business card, and I gave it to her, and I said, if you ever want to talk, you can call me or email me, whatever. And I walked out of the store, and I didn't think about it again. And I bet you it was 2 to 3 years later, probably 3.
Wow.
I'm in surgery. I'm in the locker room changing out of my scrubs, getting ready to go home, and my phone rings, and I don't recognize the number. And I never answer those calls, but for whatever reason, I answered the phone. And she said, Kim, this is Kelly. Do you remember me? I'm like, no. And she said, well, the dollar store? And I said, oh, yeah, I remember you. And she said, I just want you to know that I kept your card, and I looked at it every day, and I thought about you. And she said, I'm about to graduate from nursing school.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. The room started to get dark. I had to sit down. I'm like, this is a God moment right here. And then she said, I want to know if you'll help me study. I'm like, well, yeah, sure. So she came over, within a week or so and helped her study with her for her finals. And I don't know, 6-8 weeks later, I went to her graduation.
Wow.
I know. It was flipping awesome.
$40 and a kind word.
$40 and a you can do it.
That's right. I mean, it was 5 minutes. I didn't think about it again. But anyway, I did keep in touch with her. And I called her last week when your Kelly called me to see, or emailed me to see if I wanted to be on the show. And I told her, I said, you aren't going to believe this, but I'm going to tell our story on the Dave Ramsey Show. And she started yelling, it's all true. It was great.
Wow. $40 and a kind word.
I love it. That's a good one. Well done, Kim. Well done. All you do is just stop and notice people instead of being jerks to them as you go through the line. It's not hard. That's amazing, isn't it? Wow.
What a, hey, you know what? You can do it. What that'll do for somebody.
This is the Dave Ramsey Show.
Cliff and I joined Christian Healthcare Ministries because we really liked the concept of Christians sharing each other's burdens. And we really experienced that firsthand when Cliff was diagnosed with heart disease.
Christian Healthcare Ministries, or CHM, is not health insurance, but rather a federally approved exemption to the healthcare law. It's a time-tested model to help take care of your healthcare costs. It's Christians helping other Christians by sharing each other's medical bills.
Adjusting to a new system of paying for health care was kind of tricky, but that's where CHM stepped in, and they really helped navigate that water with the hospital and the payment.
Want to see if CHM is the right fit for your healthcare needs? Check out our website at chministries.org/budget. That's chministries.org/budget.
It was just such a relief to know that financial burden was going to be taken care of.
If you feel like you should have made more progress paying off your debt by now, I get it. When it comes to paying off debt, sometimes it feels like a grind and no reward. Here's the thing. When you try to do it on your own, you're more likely to fall back into old habits and lose hope. And that's when you stop making progress. That's why you need Ramsey Plus. Ramsey Plus is our step-by-step money plan that will give you the accountability and the practical tips you need to pay off your debt faster than you can on your own. When you have someone in your corner cheering you on, you make the tough choices that get you where you need to be. Ramsey Plus helps you go from sort of to all in, so you can finally keep more of your money. To start your free trial of Ramsey Plus, text the word trial to 33789. That's text trial to 33789. Our question of the day comes from Blinds.com. Find out for yourself why Blinds.com is the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings. You get free samples, free shipping, and with new promos all the time, you get the best deal. The promo code, magic word, is Ramsey.
Today's question comes from Dante in Tennessee. Dante writes, I am 27 and still live with my mom, who's a widow. I want to move out, but my mom is really attached to me. How should I tell her I want to be more independent and want to move out? Dante, you should be gentle, and you should be kind and loving, and be direct. Tell her that you want to be more independent and that you are ready to get your own place. Tell her with a good spirit, you pay for the meal, but be honest and direct and kind. And it may hurt her feelings. She may be sad, but she's going to understand that it's time for her baby boy to go. And those are always hard.
Yeah, this is going to be really good for her because you used the word attached. And she's a widow.
Right.
And you're filling a companionship role that you shouldn't be.
Right.
I think. I don't like that word.
I'm with you. And she is also filling a purpose role for him that he needs to move on from as well.
Yeah, he needs to get on with it for sure.
Right.
There's no question about that. But
they both lean on each other.
For her sake, the completion of her grieving from the loss of her husband and moving on with her life and having her own dignity, her own independent, standalone emotional state doesn't need to be leaning on her 27-year-old. That's
right.
It probably it's probably stunting her from going through the grieving process the rest of the way.
Her finding complete
Am I wrong?
peace. No, not at all.
I don't like that word attached. That ran all over me when I saw it.
That's right. And this doesn't mean that we're not still having lunch every Sunday together.
No, I didn't say I didn't love
we're
her.
not having breakfast and things like that.
Yeah, but there's a 1 degree or 1.25 degrees too far of relational connection here that's not good for her.
Right.
And so you're going to be doing her a favor by moving out. That's what I'm saying.
As hard as that will feel.
Oh, it's going to be awful.
Yeah.
It's going to be bloody.
Yep.
And because the roots are too far in, they got to be ripped out. It's going to hurt, but it has to be done.
But be gentle
for
and
both
be direct.
Of you. Yeah,
Yep.
be kind, calm. Do not raise your voice. Use lower your octave even intentionally.
Yep.
Because when we get nervous, our octave goes up, and so when you're in conflict, and so just, Mom, it's gonna be okay. You do your Chris Hogan imitation, right? And right, mother, it's going to be fine. Mother. All right, Dan is in Charlotte, North Carolina. Hey, Dan, how are you, man?
Hey, great. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Tell us your giving story.
Yes. I've been the recipient of a very generous gift from dear friends. I'm a quadriplegic, so I've been paralyzed almost 14 years. And my accessible van is basically 14 years old as well. So I have some amazing friends from church. My friend Charlie, and we actually co-lead a small group together. And so he drives me to group sometimes and is aware of the van's in great overall good condition, but each time I drive somewhere, I literally say a prayer just thanking God for keeping that thing going because
I've had those kind of cars.
Yeah, so 2007 Dodge, you don't expect it to go on forever. And so Charlie and his wife are just amazing, generous people, built up a business for just multiple decades, and recently sold it. And their mindset was just how they're going to be generous and loving and show God's love and generosity to people. And so he told me that he wanted to buy a new van for me. And just a month ago, because it was actually on Thanksgiving.
Wow.
We made that.
Yeah, and wheelchair accessible. We're not talking about a cheap purchase here. This is serious.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very, very large purchase. Something that I didn't quite know where the next one would be coming from.
Wow.
So it speaks to his heart that he's a generous individual, but doesn't even take credit for him and knows that God gave him the idea just to show love towards me.
Well, he did.
Just a massive blessing.
That's powerful. Yeah. So how old are you?
I am 34.
Okay, so this happened when you were 20. What happened?
Yes, I was a junior in college, and I was on a missions trip in Mexico, and I did a backflip and injured my spinal cord.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I got to tell you, it's a beautiful story. What a great guy, and what a huge purchase, too. And that gives you freedom beyond money and beyond words, doesn't it?
Yeah, incredibly so. Yeah,
What an affirmation of the type of friend you have been to this gentleman over the years as well.
I wouldn't take any credit there. That's just I've been God's been good and generous to my mom and I. So I'm thankful for, despite challenging life circumstances, that just to have a life and people to love and be loved by.
Yeah,
it's beautiful, man.
Wow, very, very cool. Good for you, and a great story, Dan. Thank you for sharing that. So Johnny Erickson Tata has become a friend over the years, and similar thing, dove into a swimming pool, and there wasn't any water in it, or wasn't enough water in it or whatever, and broke her back, and she's been in a chair for, 40 years maybe? I don't know, maybe more. And they've got a huge ministry of just chairs.
Yeah.
They collect wheelchairs. People donate wheelchairs, and they give them all over the world. And tens of thousands of wheelchairs over the years. It's powerful. And she's, I've spoken with her, and she's a great speaker and great teacher. And she's actually did a devotional here one time years ago. And but similar story to that. And her husband Ken is an incredible guy, but they have a wonderful ministry, and it. She has a unique ability to raise money for people in a chair because she's in one, So, and she's such a powerful speaker and such a powerful force of nature. And Dan, it sounds like it's the same thing. That's very cool.
That's super cool, man.
Yeah, that's a good observation too, because there's something about giving. It is. I probably shouldn't say this, but it is just tougher to give to unattractive people of unattractive character.
Yeah, you give.
If Dan was a whiner,
that's right.
That's cold. I shouldn't say that, but that would make it more difficult for most people, including me.
If you rub shoulders next to a good friend for years and years, and you see how much good they're putting into the world, how much positivity they are making of a messy, ugly situation.
And you want to write a $50,000 check and buy him a van, you can do it.
That's right, because it becomes an ROI in your community, right? It's an investment in your neighborhood. It's an investment in the soul.
It does speak highly of Dan. It really does. That's a good observation. It really does. And we probably don't like to say that kind of stuff out loud, but I just did, because it's kind of what I do.
No, there's something special about leaning into somebody, whether it's a waitress that we've heard today or somebody at the dollar store.
They see something in them. You see something in them. You look in their
often
eyes.
People can't see in their own mirror reflection.
Yeah, and maybe just the Spirit is revealing. Maybe Holy Spirit's revealing it to you that this guy is this is one you should invest in. This is one of my kids. Yeah, it's good. It's good. This is the Dave Ramsey Show. Folks, it's an honor to tell you about the Army National Guard. Not only are they big supporters of our high school curriculum, but they also give you the opportunity to impact your local communities. Whether your goals are to get an education, serve your country, or have a better life, the Army National Guard can help get you there. Plus, they offer unbelievable financial benefits. Secure your future today. Visit nationalguard.com to find out more. Live like no one else so that later you can live and give like no one else. Put yourself in a position to be outrageously generous. On the eve of Christmas Eve, this is our annual giving show. Dr. John Deloney, Ramsey personality, is my co-host today. Our 500th team member years ago, when we announced it, exploded a confetti cannon on the stage beside him. He didn't know it was coming, scared him to death. And now we have 967 team members, by the way. So he started with us 5 years ago. Is Steve Lind on the Ramsey Plus team, one of our directors of sales there. And he is on the debt-free stage here in the lobby to tell us a giving story. Hey, Steve.
Hey, guys. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
Yeah. So like you said, I work on the Ramsey Plus team, and the team that I lead works with churches specifically that catch a vision and want to get their whole congregation into Ramsey Plus to start changing their life. And so
used to be Financial Peace University church-wide. Now it's much more comprehensive, and it's all under Ramsey Plus.
Absolutely. So we got a call back in the spring from a young lady who wants to be anonymous. So that's why I'm here. And I wanted to tell her story. So she got a call from her grandfather who lives across the country from her, and he invited her to attend his church's online Easter service, right? Because churches all went online back then. And she attended the service online, and every day she has the time of walking and talking with God in the morning. And as she was doing that after that service, she kept getting this idea that I want to put my grandfather's whole church through financial peace, and what would that look like, and how could I do that? And she's grown up living by our principles. She's 24. She's cash flowing an MBA.
24.
Mm-hmm. She's amazing. And so she called us. She went online, found our page, called us, and we started having conversations with her. And she has this crazy idea, and we even try to do our best to make sure that the idea that she had and the decision that she was going to make was the right decision for her. So she had some money stocked away for giving, and it just happened to be the exact amount that she needed to buy this for her church, so for her grandfather's church. So in August, she called the pastor of the church and worked it out with him, and they have about 65% of their churches in Ramsey Plus today. And they're budgeting for the first time, and they're living on our plan, and we trust that church is going to be healthier because of it.
Wow. Powerful.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
A 24-year-old.
24-year-old puts her grandpa's whole church through Ramsey Plus, and so which gives them access to Financial Peace University, every dollar bank sync, and everything, right?
Yeah. They had two classes.
I'll turn this into an ad because people need to know what this means. I mean, they need to know that this means that whole congregation is going to learn how to handle money God's ways now.
That's
and
right.
when a whole congregation starts doing that in their own home, the church no longer has to worry about giving because it automatically occurs.
That's right.
And it's going to give a whole community of people the same language.
Yeah.
Right? They start becoming each other's accountability partner and their own community members.
Well, and what's the irony of this is that there's somebody there who has a 14-year-old that's now going through this that 10 years from now will be that 24-year-old.
That's exactly right.
I mean, there's financial peace babies in that church that as they grow up, their lives are changed, their family tree has changed, their direction has changed, their mentality has changed, because that's what happened to her, you said. She grew up this way, right?
That's right. That's right.
And so this is turning and looking back and going, I'm going to tip my hat.
That's right. That's exactly it.
Wow, that is so powerful. Now, we have a lot of churches do church-wide Ramsey Plus. It's not that unusual. A lot of them do it. But I think this is the first time a 24-year-old bought it for a whole church.
I think it is as well.
I think that's pretty impressive. Yeah,
it is special.
I'm amazed. Wow. Well, Steve, thanks for stopping by, and thanks for all the stuff you guys do in Ramsey Plus. That whole team they work their tails off, man. And they're working with churches and with individuals and through some really challenging things this year because we had 12,000 Financial Peace University classes scheduled to start, and then we didn't.
That's right.
And then they had to go online and go virtual. As a pastor friend of mine, he said one night we were sitting around in March, and he goes, and just like that, we're all televangelists.
That's it.
So, but that's we felt the same way here, and this team has done a great job pivoting and still serving and getting this out. And this right here is an example of that. That whole church going 65% in the first swath. That's strong.
Yeah.
That's well done.
Yeah.
Steve, thanks for dropping by. Merry Christmas.
You bet. Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Very cool stuff. Meredith is in Spartanburg, South South Carolina. Meredith, Merry Christmas. Tell us your giving story.
Merry Christmas, Dave, and to you, Dr. John. So almost 25 years ago, I met my husband. I did not realize I was marrying him and Dave Ramsey, but I am very thankful.
It's a package deal.
Hey, I married my wife and Dave. It was weird for me.
Only thing weird was those doggone envelopes. We didn't buy anything if it wasn't in the envelope. So you can imagine my surprise. Our very first Christmas together, he suggested we buy some bicycles for some children that were in the safe home. Very selfishly, I thought that money could be used for gifts for me, but my husband's common sense and his big heart kind of won me over. So they had like a spaghetti dinner, at the school that served the safe home, and we had purchased 2 bikes. That was all we could, scrape together to do. And a little boy received one of them, and he was just precious. And there was this little girl, Charmaine. She received the other bike, and we just fell in love with her. Just absolutely fell in love with her. My husband was teaching her to ride that little Door Explorer bicycle, and I sat with Crystal, Charmaine's mom, and she told me about their life and how hard their life had been even prior to being in the safe home. And so for a few years, we kept up with Charmaine and Crystal. My husband would go eat lunch with Charmaine at her school, and my husband had been saving in those blessed envelopes for this very ugly Lazy Boy recliner, and thank God we gave it to Crystal for deposit on her first little apartment. And we gave her some furniture, and but all of a sudden they were gone, and we absolutely lost touch with them. And we continued through the years to buy those bicycles every year, even when we had our 2 sons. We just continued to do that. And then fast forward to January of 2019, my precious husband, following very routine surgery, died of a blood clot. Mm-hmm. And so as we approached last Christmas, my boys and I really were just aimlessly wandering through the season. And one of my kids just suggested, we really should honor Dad, and we need to buy bicycles. Mm-hmm. We do it every year, so let's do it. So I agreed, you guys don't need to buy me a gift, and they agreed. So we just got to be really generous, and we bought a large number of bicycles. And so I got with the principal, and they don't do the dinner anymore and any of that stuff. But so we went to the school one afternoon, and they had a couple of staff members there helping us unload all these bikes out of my son's truck. And one of the staff members just looked really familiar. And almost about the same time, I realized it was Charmaine. Mm. And she realized it was me. And she was just kind of looking around, and I realized just because of her eyes that she was looking for my husband too. Mm. And so I had to tell her, that he passed away, and she was devastated. Mm. And I couldn't quite understand. I understand devastation. We lived that, but I couldn't understand her level of devastation. And it was then that she told me that he had given her the greatest gift that she had ever received, and that was of hope.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Powerful.
Thank you, Meredith. What a blessing.
I can't breathe.
Nope.
Thank you, Meredith. Our scripture of the day, Luke 2:11. Today in the town of David a Savior has been born to you. He is the Messiah, the Lord. Ruth Carter Stapleton said, Christmas is the most truly is most truly Christmas when we celebrate it by giving the light of love to those who need it most. Generosity takes a lot of forms. Today we've been taking calls from folks on the eve of Christmas Eve on our annual giving show. We're going to take a couple more. Dr. John Deloney is my co-host today. It takes a lot of forms. Sometimes it's just a smile, and sometimes it's just an attaboy and attagirl. Sometimes it's, my hardest one is not saying something. And sometimes that's really generous.
I've benefited from that gift, Dave.
Or even not doing something.
Right.
Just not responding. Not responding. And because my tendency is to hit back. I didn't grow up in a neighborhood where passivity was taught. It was quite the opposite. So, but it's sometimes it's a generous act, an act of great courage to not respond. And some of you are in situations with family members this week where you need to not respond. You're out there and you're listening and you're going, I love Christmas because the family's around. And by the way, the family's around. And, we all have that, right? Because if you think there's not crazy in your family, it probably means it's you.
That's you.
There's family crazy in every family. It's part of the joy of the holidays. So sometimes generosity is just, it's okay. I don't have to have a big debate with you on politics this year. I don't have to have a big debate with you about masks this year.
Just
I'm not gonna
exhaling and passing the mashed potatoes.
I'm just going to go, hey, have another glass of something there,
Right. Yes.
Wow.
I'll pour.
Move on. And sometimes it's money. And, be walking around. Put yourself in a position that you're walking around with some fun money in your pocket. Fun for someone else. Where you just run into somebody and you just have that moment. And you go, oh, yeah, $100 really makes a difference here. $1,000 really makes a difference here. And put yourself in that position. And that's what these stories have all been today. They've all been people who put themselves in a position to be generous because they got out of debt, they're on a plan, they lived like no one else, and now they can live and give like no one else. Nicole is in Salt Lake City. Hi, Nicole. Merry Christmas. How can we help?
Hello, Merry Christmas.
Tell us your giving story.
Yes, definitely. We had our baby girl, Ryan, in September of 2016, and everything was great. January of 2017, everything changed, and that's when our daughter had her first seizure that lasted well over an hour. We spent the next months just barely surviving, just trying to figure out what was happening to our beautiful baby girl. And finally, in November of 2017, we got our diagnosis, which is something called Dravet syndrome. It's an extremely rare genetic type of epilepsy that's essentially kind of progressive. A lot of these sweet kiddos are lost at a young age, and then after that, it's just life expectancy isn't really known because of how rare it is. Word started spreading about our daughter in December of 2017, and the outpouring of love and generosity that our family received just changed our lives forever. People had donated to a GoFundMe generously. People gave us essential oils and diffusers and gift cards, and a group of high schoolers made a handmade baby crib. People gave us toys and gifts for our other kids for Christmas, and people offered airline miles and gave us food, 12 days of Christmas, cash, flowers constantly at my door, just letting us know we were being thought of. My brother-in-law even went so far as to give us a car so we could have reliable transportation. I had to quit my job as a nurse that month because we knew this was going to be our life. And so for 24/7 care that she was going to need. So to receive so much during that time of year just changed us who we are to our core, gave us new perspective. But with that money, we were actually able to fly, get care from one of the top Dravet doctors in the U.S., which helped us learn just invaluable information on this horrible syndrome. We were able to get a seizure response dog, which not only helped our daughter, but our whole family try and adjust to our new life. We were able to buy adaptive medical equipment, pay bills, and just stay afloat during the worst transition time of our lives. We just have been so fortunate, and we we don't know how long we're going to have our baby girl here with us, hopefully with a cure forever. But what we do know is that God gave us and provided us a way. We've never asked why. It's not important to us. But we've always asked for the strength to get through, and He has always given us that.
Wow.
So that's our beautiful, wonderful story of the miracle of our lives.
Amen.
You've got two miracles, one little girl and then one community that holds your arms up in the desert and keeps holding them up and keeps holding them up.
We've been so lucky.
Wow.
Yeah. You're blessed. It's blessed. Here's the interesting thing to me is that not a single person that has given you anything misses it. Their lives are not diminished by what they gave you. They're enhanced by what they gave you, and your life is enhanced. And that is the beauty of this particular character trait, which is a choice called generosity. Powerful, Nicole.
Wow,
Just
thanks
beautiful.
For sharing that. I've just looked
beautiful.
at these pictures of your beautiful girl, and I've got a little girl, and whoo!
They were flashing them up on YouTube and as we were sitting here, and it's just amazing. Wow. Powerful stuff. Tom is with us. Tom is in San Diego. Tom, tell us your giving story.
Hi, Dave. I got a good one for you. Merry Christmas
Merry
to
Christmas.
you and John. My story is really unique. It's definitely a God thing. I have multiple sclerosis. I've been a high school teacher and coach for 22 years, and my wife found a contest to get us a mobility van. I've gone from a cane to a walker, rode a Segway at school, and then finally I'm in a power wheelchair. And as you've discussed in previous calls, these vans they're expensive. They're $60,000 to $70,000, and my wife found this contest. And you had to come up with a 1-minute YouTube clip, and they would enter you in the contest, and then it'd be voted on. Well, we had the audiovisual group from our school make a video for me, post it up on YouTube, and we got in the top 10. We didn't end up winning the contest. The local newspaper came out and did an interview on me, and then a follow-up interview on how we didn't win the contest. And I was like, that's kind of weird because you usually don't get interviewed for losing the Super Bowl. You get interviewed for winning the Super Bowl. And I'm like, well, okay, I'll yeah, sure, come on out. We'll do another interview. Well, they did it, and they posted it. And about 3 days later, my athletic director called and said, hey, good news. And I'm thinking, hey, I got a new recruit. I got a new athlete. This is going to be great. He's like, no, someone called, and it's really good news. I'm like, okay. So I call the number and talk to the gentleman, and he said, hey, I read your story in the newspaper the other day. He said, I went to go to USA Today, and it was out. In LA Times, it was out. And so the only paper that was left was this one copy of the San Diego local paper. He opened it up, went to the local section, and there was my story. And he said, I'm sorry you didn't win the van, but I'd like to buy you a van. And I said, sir, you do understand that these are $60,000, $70,000 vehicles. And he said, yeah, that's no problem. We'll take care of it. Well, he ends up buying me the van, and he's also the gentleman who rebuilt our stadium at our high school to the tune of a couple $1 million. We find all over San Diego, places where he just gives like no one else.
That's exactly how it works. Wow.
What a great story.
I love it. So cool.
Imagine having the money to open up a newspaper and say, I'm going to change this family's life forever.
Just going to write him a check.
I'm going to write him a check.
I like it. Merry Christmas, America. That puts this hour of the Dave Ramsey Show in the books. We'll be back with you before you know it. In the meantime, remember, there's ultimately only one way to financial peace, and that's to walk daily with the Prince of Peace, Christ Jesus.